The 2025 Jeopardy! Masters Tournament all came down to this. What started out as 9 contestants came down to just 4 on the 2-hour finale of Jeopardy! Masters Season 3, after an unexpected schedule change. The first game was between Victoria Groce, Isaac Hirsch, and Javiria Zahir. Yogesh Raut then faced off against Zahir and Hirsch. The top 3 then competed in the finals. Groce was desperate to defend her 2024 title and go for a repeat as she had been undefeated so far in this tournament. Going into the night, Matt Amadio, Roger Craig, Brad Rutter, Adriana Harmeyer, and Nilesh Vanjamuri had all been eliminated, and Groce was in first with 6 match points. Raut was in second with 2. Hirsch and Zahir both had 0, but Hirsch was in third having a higher score of correct responses. Semifinal Game 3, Victoria Groce, Isaac Hirsch and Javiria Zahir. Groce, from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, took a big lead as she answered clue after clue correctly at the beginning of the game. She then found the first daily double and had the opportunity to widen her lead even more. With $3,200 in her bank, she made it a true daily double. In Books of the Bible, the clue read, "If you're not a seminarian and you're reading Deuteronomy 5, it's probably for these. What are the 10 commandments?" She answered correctly, giving her $6,400. At the end of the round, Groce still led with $12,800, while Zahir, from Ontario, Canada, was in second with $3,400 and Hirsch, from Burbank, California, had $2,000. During the interviews, Zahir talked about her cheering squad, who always loudly supported her. Host Ken Jennings asked Hirsch if he was destined to be a Jeopardy! Master since his dad was on the game show in the 80s. "I would never use a word like destiny, but sure," he laughed. Hirsch shared that both of his parents were librarians, so he grew up around reference books, which helped with his Jeopardy! Knowledge. Groce got her certification from the Wine and Spirits Education Trust and shared that she took her test after tasting wine all day. In Double Jeopardy! Groce found the first daily double. She was still in the lead with $16,000 and risked only $2,000. In Celebrations, the clue read, "The origins of this ancient Roman festival are murky, but its name might be related to the animal that suckled Romulus and Remus." "What is Lupercalia?" she answered, giving her $18,000. She also found the final DD of the game in Book of the Bible. She wagered $1,200 out of her $31,200. Encompassing Math and Logic, Principia Mathematica by Alfred North Whitehead and him is a book of numbers and letters too, read the clue. "Who is Russell?" she answered correctly, giving her $32,400. Groce had the same amount of points by the end of the round. Zahir had $7,400. Hirsch had $1,200. The category for Final Jeopardy was Medieval Times. A vassal lord bond had 2 parts. In homage, the vassal swore to serve, and in this other 6-letter word the vassal also swore to be loyal, was the clue. Zahir was the first one to finish writing, and Hirsch took his time writing down his answer. The correct answer was Featly. Hirsch had it correct and wagered $100, ending him with $1,300. Zahir answered the same and wagered $0, giving her $7,400. Groce did not answer and wagered $2,600. This gave her a final total of $29,800 and a ticket to the finals. Semifinal Game 4, Yogesh Raut, Isaac Hirsch and Javiria Zahir. For the second game of the night, Zahir and Hirsch tried to move themselves up the leaderboard against Raut. Raut, from Springfield, Illinois, selected the first clue in Around India, and it was the daily double. He wagered up to the maximum allowed, which was $1,000 since he had none. The clue read, "Before a 2020 visit from President Trump, the replica tombs of these 2 lovers were cleaned for the first time in 300+ years." He answered correctly with, "Who are Shah Jahan and Mumtaz Mahal?" giving him the lead with 1,000 points. Raut continued to dominate the quick round with $9,200. Zahir had $2,800. Hirsch was in last with 0. However, the judges determined that one of Zahir's previously marked incorrect answers was right, so she wound up with $3,600. During the interviews, Hirsch shared that his girlfriend, whom he wanted to buy an engagement ring for if he won, was in the crowd with her dad and grandmother. Zahir compared the emergency department to Jeopardy, where you never know what to expect but everyone takes care of each other. When Rout was 5 years old, he was on the news after learning all the state capitals. In Double Jeopardy, Zahir found the first DD. With $4,800, she wagered $1,800. In Read It, the clue read, "Her spool of blue thread is set in Baltimore like many of her novels." She answered correctly with "and Tyler," giving her $6,600. 2 questions later, she found the last one. With $7,800, Zahir wagered $1,800 again. In Female Activists, the clue was, when she died at 108, the ashes of this 3-named environmentalist were scattered over the Everglades she helped to preserve. "Who is Hook Man?" she answered. The correct response was Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, so she dropped down to $6,000. By the end of the round, Rout had a big but not insurmountable lead, according to Ken Jennings, with $18,800. Zahir had $10,400. Hirsch was still in last with $3,600. The category for Final Jeopardy was Island Countries. The only UN member state named for a woman, it's named for a 4th-century Sicilian martyr, was the clue. The correct answer was St. Lucia. Hirsch had the correct response and wagered $615, giving him $4,215. Zahir answered the same and wagered 0 points again, leaving her with $10,400. Rout also answered correctly and wagered $2,100, giving him $20,801. He then got 1 match point, while Zahir got 1, and Hirsch received 0. After Groce received 3 from the first game, she had a total of 9. Rout's total was 5. Zahir had 2, and Hirsch had 0. This was the end of the road for Hirsch. He went home with $100,000. Final Game 1, Victoria Groce, Yogesh Rout and Javiria Zahir. In the finals, Groce, the reigning champion, Zahir, a finalist in her Masters debut, and Rout, the reigning runner-up, faced off in 2 games. The win would go to whoever scores the most total points. Rout tried to forcefully hit his buzzer for most of the clues at the beginning of the round, but Groce beat him to it. She also found the first daily double of the game in blank of the blank. With $1,200, she made it a true daily double. In an early chapter of an 1864 book, the narrator says, "The very idea of going down here was simply absurd." Groce answered correctly with, "What is the center of the earth?" giving her $2,400. It was then a fierce battle between Groce and Rout as they went back and forth on the lead throughout the round. By the end of the round, the scores were Rout with $6,600, Groce with $5,400, and Zahir at $2,600. In Double Jeopardy, Groce quickly took the lead. She also found the first DD of the round in Go Fish. She wagered $4,000 out of her $10,200. The clue read, "A Florida city is said to have gotten its name after pioneer Mary Ormond Boyer saw these fish springing from a bayou." She answered incorrectly with Pompano, giving her a total of $6,200. The correct answer was tarpon. This gave Rout the lead. However, a few clues later, she found the last DD and made it a true daily double, wagering all of her $7,400. In Let's Hit the Road, this was the clue. During World War II, this historic highway carried vital supplies from Lashio to Kunming. What is the Burma Road? Groce answered correctly, giving her a wide lead with $14,800. Rout had $9,400. "I was not sure," Groce admitted. By the end of the round, Groce was in the lead with $21,200. Rout had $13,000. Zahir was in the red with minus $1,000. She did not compete in Final Jeopardy. The category was Peoples of the World. Heard often in the film The Conqueror, this name of a once nomadic people comes from a Latin word used for hell, was the clue. Rout wrote, "Who are Totters?" which was incorrect. He wagered $13,000, leaving him with zero. Groce was also wrong with her response, "Who are the Mongols?" She wagered $6,800, which took her down to $14,800. The correct answer was Parters. Final game 2, Victoria Groce, Yogesh Rout and Javeria Zahir. In game 2, Groce was the only one with any points, but they were wiped clean until the final result. But remember, as we've seen in a 2-game total point affair, anything can happen, Ken Jennings said. This is not over yet. Zahir found the daily double in the round. She had $800 but wagered $1,000. In world history, here was the clue. The Piagnoni, fanboys of Girolamo Savonarola, were the main instigators behind these events. One took place on Shrove Tuesday. She answered correctly with, "What is Bonfire of the Vanities?" giving her $1,800, only $200 behind Rout. The rest of the round was a tight game between all 3 contestants. By the end of the round, Rout had the lead with $7,000. Zahir was in second with $5,200. Groce trailed with $4,200. In Double Jeopardy, Zahir was in second when she found the first DD. With $10,800, she made it a true daily double. In Let's Set Some Boundaries, the clue read, "The western limit of the Mediterranean is a line drawn between Cape Spartel in Africa and this Spanish cape famed in naval history." She answered correctly with Trafalgar, giving her the lead with $21,600. Only a few clues later, Rout found the last DD. He was in second with $16,600 and made it a true daily double. "This may be the end for me," he said. In the end, the clue read, "Polonium, radium and uranium were all first discovered in this ore." "What is pitch black?" he answered correctly, taking the lead with $33,200. By the end of the round, Rout had a huge lead with $36,000 points. Zahir had $20,800. Groce was in third with $11,000. The category for Final Jeopardy was paintings. The artist saw this subject as a kindred spirit and in 1890 depicted him with flowers used to treat heart disease, was the clue. The correct answer was Dr. Gachet. Groce gave the correct response and wagered $11,000, giving her $22,000 for the second game and a combined total of $36,400. Zahir also answered with Dr. Gachet. She wagered $16,000, giving her $36,800. Rout answered correctly as well and wagered $5,601, giving him a final total of $41,601, making him the Jeopardy! Masters champion. For the win, he receives $500,000, the Alex Trebek Trophy, the title of Jeopardy! Master, and money donated to the charity of his choosing. Groce went home with $150,000, and Zahir left with $250,000.